Hey everyone, welcome to the Lion's Den of Leadership. This is Steve Rosenberg, your host, and my good buddy Alex Osenenko. Getting better, huh?
Getting really good, my man.
It's like we're family now, the way I say it, man. I'm going to be at the
Dinner table?
I'm going to come to the fishing spot with you one day, huh?
Oh, wow. You would be bored. I mean, knowing you and, flying planes and 1,000 miles an hour at all times, you would just die fishing with me.
No, you never know, man. I go fishing once a year out in California, up in Mammoth, so I'm familiar with it. But
Okay.
I'm open to it. I'm open to it.
It's interesting. So I'm going to contrast something. The reason why I like fishing, because there's a clear win, right? There's a clear win. There's also an excuse to say, okay, well, I didn't really catch anything, but I had a good time. I had relaxed. I don't believe that BS for a minute.
That's loser talk.
Yeah, you're out there to catch. You catch your buddies. That's the whole thing. Like for
If
me,
not, then just sit on the ground and just do nothing and stare at the water, right? Because that's what you did essentially.
but so you could do that depending on the type of fishing you're doing. But here's the analogy, Steve. Here's how I feel. The preparation is everything. Like the planning. Like, you got to know what species you're going after. You got to have the right gear, right line size, right hook sizes, right sinker sizes. You need to know, where the last plant was, and you need to pick the right area. The wind is there's just a lot of things. And so people who are just out there having fun, they'll just throw a couple poles in the water and may get lucky. For me, dude, I produce, right? If I go fishing, man, I know exactly who I'm going. I'm not spreading my poles everywhere. No, if I'm going for carp, baby, it's all carp all the way. I have English setup. Like I ordered from England because they don't make them in the EOS. It's called method-led setup, and the fishermen out here who did carp, they would know what that is. But it's basically a pop-up technique. Like if I go for trout, it's all I'm doing. I'm going catfish, that's all I'm doing. And that's the important thing. That if you don't prep, you just got to take your tackle box and a couple poles. You end up with, a good time. That's about it.
Right.
No outcome.
And how relatable is that to business, right? I mean, it's all interchangeable. But I'm going to tell you a quick fact that most people probably don't know about me, which you'll probably, after I got to ride in your car and we zoomed across the California highways after dinner with Mike that night.
Yeah,
having a good time. I am probably as fast moving and as aggressive as I am and everything. I am probably one of the slowest drivers you will ever meet. Ride Harleys, tattoos, all that. I do it all slow. Just kind of, I'm that guy. Sometimes it's in the fast lane going too slow and people are driving by, flipping you off, or and then I'm like, oh, sorry, and I move over. I'm just totally different. I think because I do everything else so fast, that's kind of where I get my solitude. My wife, completely opposite, right? So when we're driving in a parking lot trying to find a parking spot, she's like, you go from slow to super slow. She's like, I just need to get out and walk because she's like, it's like agony watching you try to park a car. I'm like, I'm just taking my time. There's no rush. So yeah,
that's
a lot of people don't know that about me. It's kind of funny.
That's it. Yeah, I usually hustle the parking lots because I grew up in San Francisco, man, in the mean streets of SF, bro. So the parking is always at a premium, man. I'm a primo hustler when it comes to parking. You gotta hustle.
Well, I grew up in Los Angeles, not much different, but I guess I do everything else so fast paced. You gotta have one thing that you're backed out on. That's my one thing, I guess.
So we're going to talk today about this is the end of the year episode. So those of you listening, happy holidays. We are, Steve and I are going to do our little bit of a part to help you build a very successful 2019. But Steve and I also run businesses. So I think, today it's just him and I. We're going to talk about, I think that we're going to reminisce a little bit from last year, right?
Yeah. I think that is, my opinion as an entrepreneur and building a company and full throttle, 110% every day. Sometimes we forget our wins, and I think a lot of us, we're so hard at looking for the next win. Sometimes we forget to savor the win. I know I do a lot of times. I mean, we smash through, previous year records. We're growing, we're revenue, all that stuff. But we don't even, honestly, I don't even think about it. I'm always looking for the next kill, right? That's just my personality. I am always looking and always hard on ourselves. We are probably at Empire, we are probably our worst critics, right? We always think that we could be doing way better, we never are satisfied. Not that we're, slave driving our employees. I mean, we're very grateful for them, but we're always looking at ways to tweak and be better. And I think that's common. I mean, I don't know if you have that, Alex, but I mean, sometimes you step back and you think, man, like Pete and I, we think we created this company, right? We didn't buy it from anyone. We didn't anything. We created this out of an idea, out of our own necessity of an idea. And it has grown and it's grown and it's grown. And, this weekend that just passed, we've got a lot of virtual assistants in Mexico. We went down there for a Christmas party with them. Just had an amazing time. We had like 45 people at this party, and they were all like just so grateful of everything that we've done and how we've helped them and all the stuff. And we're thinking to myself, I was thinking like, man, we created this for them. Like, this is something that, we're feeding all these families basically with jobs, but, they believe in us. And it was really just an idea that was in our heads that has grown. And, I think a lot of times we get so caught up in the heat of battle. You never want to sit there and pat yourself on the back. I mean, look, you've got a thriving business in a market that's a very tough market. And I don't know how good you do at in kind of rewarding yourself on the wins. I know we probably could do a lot better, I would say. How do you do on that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think for the CEO, man, I'll be honest with you. If things going right, you're doing your job. But that's how it is, man. When things begin to look iffy, questionable, awkward, unusual, off goals, specifically off goals, right? And even if the underlying health of the business is still in place, but you start slipping, right, on goals, and all of a sudden all eyes are on you, right? That's just how it is. So I don't do anything to celebrate the wins.
Well, and I think that
really nothing.
One thing, well, and let me ask you this, and I don't know what goals you're talking about, but a lot of these goals we make up in our heads, right? We, especially when you're going down a path that you haven't been before, as far as size, growth, revenue, we're taking ideas and throwing them against the wall, and we're going like next year. I'll give you an example. We'll probably have closed. I think we'll have done about 450 new properties this year organically right? Pretty good.
That's very good.
We didn't have a party. We didn't have anything. You know what we did? We said next year our number is 620. That was our celebration. Next year is 620. But when you think about it, it's like there needs to be some celebration. I mean, we took our company and totally restructured it, right? So we had a lot of restructuring for us. We had some serious wins. We got a lot of team collaboration going on. A lot of stuff. At the end of the day, we're going, yeah, but 2019's around the corner. That was day old bread, and I think as a CEO and as a leader, I think it's important that we do remember that. And I think sometimes it's hard to remember that because I'm always looking at the back of the person in front of me going, I got to catch that guy. I got to catch, I passed that guy. Now I got to catch that guy, and I think that's the competitive spirit. But I also think that's what people come and work for us for. I think people come because they want to ride the wave, right? They want that adrenaline rush of working for an inspiring company, in my opinion. I think that if they didn't, they wouldn't show up every day, right? People show up because of a vision that you created, a vision that we created, and that's why they show up, and that's why they work so hard. People don't work for a paycheck; they work for a vision, and I think part of that has to be the payback of giving them the rewards of when we accomplish these milestones and mini goals. And I definitely know I do not do that good of a job doing that. Pete, my business partner, I will say Pete does a good job of doing that, and he's more in the operations. But man, I'll tell you, I am always at the front of that ship looking forward of seeing what's next, what are we doing, where are we going, how is this happening? I'm looking at operating in other countries. I just, my mind is always working that way. Never congratulating the team on the 450 new doors we brought in or the increase in revenue that we did off of a program. I mean, how do you do that? Do you handle that well, or
what is your biggest win? Let's if we do reminiscing, do you feel like if you encapsulate something, one thing, not just like, oh, we've grown, but specifically, what is the biggest win for Empire over 2018?
It's a good question. I would say our biggest win was the fact that we created the baseline of leadership and Pete and I were able to create leaders at every level. And we're able to basically pull ourselves out of the business that I don't do much inside of Empire anymore. I'm there as the visionary, but I'm not there at an operation level at all. I'm there at the leadership meetings. I'm there, and I'm doing stuff at that. So I would say, in my opinion, the biggest win, now Pete may have a different one, but in my opinion, I think our biggest win was the fact that we were able to create the baseline, a very strong foundation of team that is able to scale our company so that I can go and have these conversations with, doing more virtual assistant placements or looking to buy companies around Texas or doing stuff in Australia, Asia, stuff like that. I can do that because I'm out of the business. And so to me, that's a big win, because even though I was doing good at my role in the company, I don't think that was my unique ability. I think my unique ability is growing the company with a vision, not being in the heat of battle. I think I could do it. Like, look, we can all do jobs. We can all do those tasks, but we don't necessarily all have unique ability to do all those things great. And I think that's where we did. And I think that's something that I'm very proud of. We did have to take a step back in some profit margins and stuff to staff up and to grow and to invest in the company. But again, as long as it's part of the plan, I'm okay with it. I've got no problem with that, because I'm investing in the team and I'm making sure that, I've got 5 or 6 leaders that are doing stuff that at one point was Pete and I, and we weren't even doing them good. So I would say that for me, that is the biggest win, as far as Empire goes. What about you?
So build that. Let me just sort of encapsulate. Build the company, operationalized the company, introduce leadership team into the company so you can get to your unique ability, and you feel you've gotten there in 2018?
Yeah. And also not only here, but, as some people know, we have a lot of team members down in Mexico. We created a whole leadership level down there. So we actually had a leadership meeting in Mexico with our team down there, with the leaders down there. So we created a mini infrastructure of them handling stuff. And so we're basically, we've been creating this huge infrastructure. We basically, look, up until this point, things were working good. Things break, you fix them. Things break, we fix them. In 2018, without us really noticing or knowing, a lot of things started breaking, right? So we got about the 1,000 door mark-ish. Next thing you know, shit starts breaking. And all of a sudden, we're fixing it. But some of the things, we had to tear down some walls, and we had to move retaining walls. We had to move some foundations. And we did a lot, and we asked our team to do a lot while we were still growing, right? We broke some eggs. We pissed off some clients. We pissed off some team members. That's just what's going to happen. I was always told that when you grow, 50% of your people and 50% of your staff will break. Or 50% of your systems and 50% of your people. They're going to break. The faster you grow, the faster they break. Your job, our job as a leader, is to find those breaks as quickly as you can, fix them, but not only fix them forever. Forever could be to 2,000 doors, right? That's forever right now. But, not to Band-Aid it. So one of I would say, one of the biggest wins that Pete got, I would say, is we started thinking to ourselves, real estate industry, property management is a very reactionary industry, right? So in general, people are pissed. What do? They pick up the phone, they call the property management company, they bitch them out, right? You, as a property management company, are on the receiving end of a complaint. We're a complaint desk. We're like that booth at the airport that people are standing in a fucking mile-long line, and next thing you know, people are just yelling at them, and the next person leaves, and they smile. How can I help you today? Your airline sucks. You're this, you're that, you're that. Sorry, let me redirect you, blah, blah. How you doing today, right? That's basically what property managers are, and they're constantly beat up, right? Because we're reacting. So what Pete said is he said, we need to stop these phone calls from happening, not create better scripts, not create better routing systems when they call. We need to go upstream of this, and we need to stop them. Why is the call even happening? And let's stop this upstream. So he started looking at we started breaking down every phone call and inquiry that comes in and kind of said, okay, why is this happening? What system can we place up here that will cause them to never happen. Because the reality is people don't want to call and check on something that they're paying you to do, right? They just want the results. Yep. And in the property management company, the result is rent payment coming in without any other further contact. They don't want a property. Good service in the property management industry, in my opinion, is I've had a property for 10 years. I've never seen it. I've never heard from the management company, and I get my rent check every month. Best company in the world, right? That's what you think. Best company in the world. As opposed to, I've got to call them all the time. I'm always getting these emails. They're stupid this, stupid that. They got pictures of cats on their website. I don't know what they're doing, no value. So that, I would say, is a very big win, because what we've done is we've turned the property managers into more relationship-based, to have relationships with the owners on a proactive basis, not just that whenever the property manager's calling, it's about money or about a problem. Now it's proactive. So when they're calling, the owner education series, the relationships that we do, we're creating a positive environment for the property managers so that they enjoy coming to work. Because otherwise it's just a race to the bottom of seeing how long can they last. And, when they decide that they're going to leave, how many Easter eggs did they leave us of problems that we're going to uncover downstream? So we're trying to turn it into a proactive company where, we offset it with teams in Mexico and stuff that do a lot of stuff. And they have their teams, and they're running basically a mini business with their teams. And so that's part of the whole restructuring that we did that has really helped us. So they're kind of, they've told us, like, look, you guys don't need to be in these meetings. You don't need to be here. We've got this. Now, with that being said, we run everything with KPIs, and we'll, at that Paul's PM Systems Conference, we'll talk about a lot of the KPIs and structures and stuff that we do at Empire. But when you run things with KPIs, I don't need to be asking people what they're doing. I don't need to even talk to them. I talk to Pete. Pete shows me the KPIs. Where are we at, right? If I have a problem, as hard as it is, I try not to go to I definitely don't go to the employee. I don't go to the leader. I talk to Pete about it first. And then Pete and I have one-to-one meetings. And then I talk to Pete about it, and Pete will say, I'll take care of it. Or, because he's a CEO. So I'm the one that sees something because I'm kind of out of the weeds because I'm not as involved now. So now I'm looking kind of at a bird's eye view, and I'm going, hey, why does that post not say this? Or why is that hyperlink? Or what's going on with this? I'm seeing things from a much more clear perspective. And I talk to Pete about it in our weekly meetings. And then we decide, is this important or was this an emotional thing? Because look, we all know that sometimes we send out emails of shit that we want fixed, and it was just an emotional issue. It wasn't reality, right? So
well, I don't know about we, but maybe some of us do.
Yeah. So, and again, look, I've learned, it's bad for morale. It's bad for the team. It shows a dysfunction of organization. It shows, and you start learning from that. And what I've learned is the more that I'm pulled out, and like I told you, that book that I read, The One Thing, I mean, Pete gave it to me, and I tell you, I've read it like 5 times, and it really has helped me. And I'm the one going, well, wait a second, why are we doing all this? Let's just do one thing now. That's like my thing, right? But it works because I'm so focused on just doing that. And I told you, before we started, I've got so many people that ask me for advice or do videos or pictures or whatever. And I want to do it. I'm like the yes guy that wants to do it. But when I say yes to that, what am I saying no to? And, my one thing this year is to grow our company, do acquisitions, grow it in Australia and in Asia and some other stuff that I'm working on. But that's my one thing is growth. And if I'm doing these other things, what am I not doing? And that's what I have learned as my biggest takeaway for 2018 is more focus, I think.
That's a pretty solid year, man.
It was, again, we don't celebrate the wins. So unless you talk about it, I mean, one day Pete wrote down all the stuff that we did for 2018. He had like 5 pages of stuff. He's like, dude, do you realize what we did in 2018? And I was like, yeah, we did do a lot of stuff. But look, we don't see it, right? We only see the problems. All we see is the problems that are in front of us right now. We see the issues, the challenges, and I think that as entrepreneurs, I think we all need to stop and think about what are our wins, because it's so easy to look at the losses and not focus on that. I mean, I'm victim. I do it myself. So I'm guilty as charged.
One thing that I think it's worth mentioning here, Steve, is that a lot of the organization and my reorg is coming from the EOS, Entrepreneur Operating System. So for those folks who are listening and wondering how Magical Steve's got everything figured out with Magical,
it ain't magic. It ain't magic.
Right. It's the EOS is an amazing sort of a really, really well thought out process that is simple and effective. And Steve put me onto it. I mean, I've had other friends that do that, but one of the things we've done is on the PM Growth Summit upcoming here in April, we have our very own property management business owner who's also EOS implementer, Andy Moore, agreed to speak on the subject. So that would be exciting. And, you know, those of you who are at least are on the way to build. Steve, what would you say? How big is the company? Does the company need to be in order to truly sort of internalize EOS? I mean, I think it's 5 to 6 employees, no less. What do you think?
I tend to agree. I think you need to have some layers of hierarchy in your company. So if there's just 2 or 3 people, probably not going to be able to implement it as well as having layers, because the whole concept of the EOS, as I know it, is you're basically you're using your team to delegate. And if you're always going to be working in the business if you can't work on it. And the only way you can work on it is to have team members, employees doing stuff for you so that you can step out. So I tend to agree with you. That's probably a good number. But I think that I would say that there's a conceptual mindset that I think any person that has a business can learn. Because, look, I think you would agree that had you and I learned the EOS a long time ago when we first started, we wouldn't have to break apart our company and rebuild it. We probably would have maybe built it from the base correctly, because I think a lot of people, us included, sometimes run their companies on emotions. And I think sometimes we make decisions on emotions, not planning.
Well, we're human. I mean, you and I suppose you're human. I mean, right? And so am I. It's right. Very difficult. Yeah, it's a discipline. And when you don't have a job, you think like you are the job. You're the job provider. Sometimes you get a little bit a thing in your head that you decide to start swinging things around a bit, getting too emotional and stuff. But that's only human. So I agree. But so EOS keeps that. Still gives you an ability to be human, because look, you want something solved, get it up on the issues list, it becomes a rock, and then the whole company goes after it. You can't just send an angry email because you're pissed one day that your website has too much white space and we have to build a whole new website because of this or whatever. You're too tired of giving all these corrections, so let's build a whole new website. And now you just dove a bunch of resources, your whole team, on a project that nobody was prepared for, and that derails everything else that's online. Because look, in 2 weeks, you're like, why are we building this new website? The old one was fine. I wasn't really serious at the time.
I was just blowing off steam. Yeah, what's the big deal? Like, you guys are
now you mobilized a whole bunch of resources going after something that you regret. I've been there.
Oh man, I was going to say, I've been there. I mean, I just like you said, I mean, look, we all make those mistakes. We all make those tactical errors as leaders, especially if you've never been a leader before. You're learning, right? And I think that's what all this is. And so I think it is helpful for everybody to learn that book and read it and understand some of the fundamentals of being a proactive company and not a reactive company. I will tell you, though, one thing that we learned from the OES that is that we changed a little bit from the OES. So
you mean the EOS, right? And the book is called Traction, by the way. Those of you listening, Gino Wickman, a book called Traction.
Yeah. So one of the things that we learned is, it says you should never have more than 3 to 5 rocks, right, for a quarter. And so each of our team members, each of our leaders, when we do our offsite, gets 3 to 5 rocks. But what we didn't realize is I may have a rock of things I have to do, but it involves marketing, it involves sales, it involves operations. So they now have sub rocks. So their 3 rocks really are more like 12 is what we realized. So what we decided to do, going back to my one thing that I learned, is we may have our rocks sitting there. Let's pick one. That's the most important for me. Let me just work on that rock, because that's going to get disseminated out to other people to help me get stuff done, because you want to utilize leverage and team and all that stuff. Pick one rock. complete it, then go back and go, okay, what other rock do I want to use? Let me grab this rock. This is now my rock that I'm working on right now. Because what happens is, and if you don't, in what we've learned, at first we were going to say, let's just do one rock per quarter. Like, let's just do one rock. And you know, I'm coached by a business coach, and our business coach said, don't do that. He said, because you've just limited yourself. Because what if you finish that rock in 1 month? Now you're sitting there going, and if you don't have these excess rocks sitting there, meaning tasks, things you got to get done, if you don't have them sitting there, you don't feel the pressure and urgency to get stuff done. And the other thing I learned about the thing about the EOS is they talk about, on target or off target, right? And I don't know if you do this yet, Alex, or not, but what we do is we actually put time conditions on what is off target and on target. Like, there's many gates that they have to hit to be on target. So let's say, for example, because before what we were doing is, you'd have a quarter that you had to finish these rocks. So we'd be in our morning L10 meeting, which we do every Tuesday morning. And it's like on target, off target, on target, on target, on target. Everyone's on target until the last 2 weeks of the month of the quarter. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to make that target. I don't think I'm going to, that one I don't think I'm going to make. It's like, well, you've been on target this whole time, but you really weren't, because you had many things that you had to accomplish and you didn't get those many things done. So I think, what we've learned is take one rock at a time, do that rock, because that's going to affect other team members. Then you have your rock, you need to break down the steps, and you need to have dates that you have to hit in there. And we do our EOS, we have it all sitting in Asana now. So it's in Asana with cards, and we can look at it and task it out. And so for us, it's been very, very helpful. That's how we know, okay, what does on target mean? Like, what were you supposed to accomplish this week that got you on target? It's like, well, I didn't do anything. Well, then you're not on target.
Yeah, I'm behind you. I'm behind you by about, 2-3 quarters, because we're still in the process of what we do is there's a bunch of issues that get rolled up to a rock. So we do have 3 to 5 rocks as prescribed, but we've missed the first quarter we sent them. We're about to review them. We've missed a couple just because somebody owned it, but somebody else was responsible for pieces or elements of it that didn't get done for legitimate reason. But in a way, we were just completely missed it, right? Just not happened. Okay, well, we've hit some, and then we missed this one.
The reality is you're not going to hit them all. I mean, even the book says if you get 80% done in your first year, you're way ahead of the curve. So we've noticed that we're getting better at it. And again, this is just, we take on more than we can chew sometimes. I mean, that's the reality, because not only do you have to do these rocks and all these projects, you still got to do your job, right? You still got shit that you got to do to run your company. The employees have to do work. Things have to get done. So these are above and beyond tasks that you're having people do that are, again, there's a lot of collaboration. So, part of what I was saying, and I think a lot of this is with EOS, is the team is starting to talk to each other without going through Pete and myself. So they're handling stuff at their level, and they're kind of going like, okay, I got to set a meeting with you, and I got to talk with you about that. And Pete and I are just sitting there kind of watching these conversations going around like, it's pretty cool, man. They're all like talking to each other without Pete setting a meeting or me setting a meeting. They're working through stuff. Yeah, we had a challenge. We worked through it, got it solved, no problem. Where before, that was me or that was Pete having problem after problem after problem, So
yeah, and it empowers. Look, it empowers your team. I mean, people want, especially good quality people, they want to have their job to have meaning, and this empowers them to be, to drive something, to actually own something, to accomplish something. And to me, that's a great people builder tool as well.
It really is. And I'll tell you, we were down in Mexico this weekend, and we had a big leadership meeting with the leaders of the teams. And, one of the guys came up to me and he said, Steve, he goes, you don't need to worry about our departments. He goes, my team, he goes, I'll hit my numbers. He goes, I'll hit my numbers. I'll hit my KPIs. He goes, don't worry about what I've got it. Very confident, right? I mean, he's like, look, I got this. I know what I'm doing, and I will hit my numbers, and I will hit them with the KPIs, and you don't need to worry about it. Ross, sales manager, doesn't need to worry about it. I'm going to do what I need to do to make sure I hit the numbers. If I need to hire people, if I need to fire people, I'll take care of it. I'm like, cool. What do you say, right? I mean, talk about ownership.
Yeah. Well, let's call time on this. You and I both, today we're recording on December 18th. So we have about 12 days left in this year to go kick some ass, brother.
Well, I'm hopping a flight to Australia tonight. Got some business transactions to talk there. And then I am off diving in Palau in the South Pacific for about a week or so. So I will be I don't know if I'm ever off the radar, but I will be not doing much more work after my Australia.
Pick up the phone on the water. Like, Steve, man, I need you, man. I need
Video
somebody to pick your brain, man.
That's right. Well, I think my wife will leave me on the island if I do that too much.
But no, my plan is to hustle while everybody else is asleep. So maybe I'll out hustle a couple other.
Catch some fish, right? Catch some fish while no one else is fishing.
Yeah. I think a lot of people will be fishing. I'll be working. Anyway, let's wish our listeners and I think I want to say that I'm really grateful for this show. It's been helping me a lot. You and I, we can definitely help each other out, but also I like the guests. I love the guests. And we have a really, really interesting guest coming in January. Somebody canceled today, but Steve and I obviously rock this one together.
Yeah, no, I echo your sentiments. I think I get a lot of very good compliments on the show. A lot of people like what we're doing. They like the context of it. I'm grateful that people like it. They can go to our Facebook group, Sphere of Influence. We have them there. It's on our Facebook group page, our company page, our website. I mean, it's everywhere. And it's on iTunes now, so people want to download it to iTunes. It's a good free Christmas gift. But I enjoy having these mental gymnastic conversations because I don't think many people have them. And not that there's anything wrong with talking to other property managers or anything like that, but it's good to talk to people from different industries and get their view because we all think very, very similar, more so than I think any of us realize as entrepreneurs. And it's good to bounce ideas. It's good to talk to people, and it's good to hear what they're doing right and, more importantly, what they're doing wrong and how they're fixing it. Because chances are we're probably running into those same challenges, or some of our listeners are. So I do appreciate all the guests, and obviously your knowledge has been it's helped me as well. It's helped me put things in perspective, and it's helped me think of things a little bit differently. I've read some books that I haven't read. Own the Day? What's that one that you
Own the Day, Own a Life. Yeah.
I'm listening to that one. That's a good one. The breathing techniques. That's something I would have never thought of reading before, right?
Cold shower every morning, man. It punches you in the face. It punches you in the face. You get adrenaline going. Like you do the gym thing. I do that cold shower, man. I feel like a man. I walk out of there. I feel like a man.
You do that every day?
Every day, brother. Every day. Sick, healthy, half dying, doesn't matter. Every day. Turn on that cold water. Don't be a wuss.
All right, I got to step up my game, I guess.
Hey, man, you're doing 4 o'clock gym. We talked about the pre-show. Anyway, we got to say happy New Year to our listeners. We'll bring a lot more to this show next year. We have big plans for it. If you want to be a speaker, go to Sphere of Influence. If you want to become a guest on the show, go to Sphere of Influence Facebook page. Join, request to join. We'll join you up, and then private message me or Steve, and we'll get you on the show.
Love to have you on. Absolutely. You're not too big or too small either. I would say anyone that has a business at any level, man, we want to hear from you because you never know where we're all going to learn our nuggets of information. It's not a size issue. It's not a revenue issue. It's just a human factor element issue, I think. And so I encourage anyone to reach out to us and say, hey, man, I want to bleed on your table. I want to pour my guts and tell you what's going on with my company and have you give your perspective, and we'll do it.
Yeah, we'll do it. All right. Have a good one, Steve. Diving, and we'll see you all next year.
Sounds good, man. Have a good one, Alex. We'll see you guys. Bye-bye.